Ready to go!
Rightio guys, welcome back to another Australian rankings video. I put out the video the other day about the overall ranks and got some great feedback from it, not only from the Australians that were looking at it and agreeing and going, yeah, some interesting points in there, but the internationals as well. A lot of people learned a lot about who is in the Australian scene, and it gives you some perspective on who are the names that you should be looking out for. But doing just the overall list wasn't enough. Naturally, there's some lightweights that are equally as badass in their realm of the sport. And I thought I'd share with you the top 10 under 85 kilo based arm wrestlers in Australia. These, without a doubt, are the names you need to know. Now, coming in at number 1, you already know this gentleman quite well. He's the undisputed king of under 85 kilos in Australia. No one in Australia can touch this man or even come close to touching this man, left or right. Under 85 kilos, Jordan Davis is the man. But this is, of course, a right arm specialist list. Keep that in mind. Now, Jordan Davis, right arm, his right arm is significantly ahead of everyone. He featured on the overalls list. As you saw, he came in at number 9 on the overalls list amongst the super heavyweights and everyone else. In the under 85 kilos class, no one will touch this man. Jordan Davis is a multiple Australian, multiple Oceanic champion at his weight category. He can drop down to 78 kilos like he did last year for Zloty. Now, let me tell you, his Zloty performance last year, he was so close. He was this close to literally being in the age draw final. He had a match against Patrick Berg from Sweden, and he had him beaten. He absolutely had him beaten. Totally took his wrist, was sitting there just waiting to pin, and got a micro elbow foul. Anyway, long story short, he got 2 micro elbow fouls in the situation, which led to him not going through. And Jordan Davis then, I think, finished 5th. But had he have won that match, which he did all but win the match, Patrick Berg actually lifted his elbow up giantly like that to get a restart after Jordan was totally in control and moments away from winning. Jordan would have been in the A-Draw final with a minimum placing of 3rd and with a chance to go on and win. But anyway, Jordan Davis takes number 1. Number 2 on the under 85 kilos list, Mr. Phil Rasmussen. Phil is the president of the Australian Arm Wrestling Federation, has been competitively training and competing for about 8.5, 9 years. He was there from the beginning, and he is an excellent, well-rounded, offensive-based arm wrestler. Phil Rasmussen is the current left and right 80 kilo national champion. He did that whilst Jordan was over at the Zloty Tour last year. He took both the left and right. This man really has an amazing post, a lot of back pressure. He's great in a hook if he has to be there, but really he's an offensive-based arm wrestler, very dangerous man. Phil Rasmussen takes number 2. Number 3 in the under 85 kilos, I'm going to give it to West Australia's Kyle Howarth. Kyle Howarth is one of the most unassuming arm wrestlers you will ever meet. To put it simply, you will never expect him to be as strong as he is. He is phenomenal in the hook and press position, and he's very good. What separates Kyle from other great hookers is that Kyle has a great ability to force top rollers in. He's very quick off the go, and once he has his shoulder behind, good luck holding him up. He will press through the super heavyweight division if he is able to get into that position. And among the other lightweights, Kyle Howarth, without a doubt, one of the most experienced arm wrestlers, been at it for about that 7.5, 8 year mark as well. Kyle Howarth, absolutely deserved of the number 3 rank. Number 4, a man that you've seen feature on my channel before. He came over to Arizona last year, pulled against Alan Fisher. His name, Grant Tolentino. Now, Grant Tolentino is a left arm specialist, but he still ranks number 4 on the right arm. When we talk about his left arm briefly, he's pinned literally everyone in Australia. Every super heavyweight there is, just about, I think with the exception of Lachlan Adair. Grant Tolentino is pedigree. He is lightning fast. He has got the most significantly lightning fast twitch reactions. And he will put you into a hook. On his right arm, he's not quite able to hook like he can on his left. He's more of a drag and side pressure guy on the right. But Grant Tolentino, one of the most dangerous arm wrestlers in Australia, without a doubt, under 85 kilos. And for me, I have him at number 4. All right, number 5, a man that doesn't compete as often as I would like to see him compete, but when he does, he is absolutely mega. He has been influential in the Victorian arm wrestling scene for quite a long time. Massively strong arms. This guy is known for his arm strength, not so much his hand strength, but go into a hook with this man and you are in for a rough time. His nickname is the Crowbar, and we're of course talking about this man, Andrew Manfred. As I said, he trains out of the House of Pain in Victoria. Truly is one of the most hard-working and significantly consistent training guys I've ever seen. That's what separates him compared to everyone else, is his sheer consistency. This man, like I said, I've been into a hook with this man and it feels horrible. I do not want to go into a hook with Andrew Manfred. His whole club is known for being very strong hookers, and he leads the charge among the lightweights down there as the best hooker in the club by far. All right, moving on to number 6. We have another gentleman that you guys know well, a good friend of mine, young Sam Burnett. Sam Burnett, I think he's only 21 years old. He's got the world ahead of him in terms of his potential. He's one of those guys that looks like he could be a professional bodybuilder. He is genetically so very gifted. He's like a miniature Lachlan Adair in the way that he's built. I think this guy has one of the most amazing hands on him. His hand control, truly I believe, is on par with mine. I have better side pressure than him, but his hand control is amazing for a lightweight. He's only weighing 79 kilos. He finished second last year in the Australian under 80 kilo championship, only to Phil Rasmussen. But Sam Burnett's hand is wide and strong. He really is a dangerous arm wrestler. As he gets more experience, I think this guy's potential is very, very much exponential. So Sam Burnett, for me, takes number 6. All right, number 7. Very interesting. Number 7 and number 6 could swap as soon as next week. And the reason I say that is number 7, I'm giving to Taron Broad. And Taron Broad is having a super match with number 6, Sam Burnett, on December 12th. So Taron Broad, at the moment, sits at number 7. Taron I would describe as probably the strongest arm-based puller in the under 85 kilo class. He and Andrew Manfred I would love to see in a hook war, because both those guys are very similar. But Taron Broad I think is stronger. And when we talk about just his arms, he is phenomenal. Like most guys that are arm-based pullers, they love the strap. They feel kind of vulnerable outside of the strap. The hand and wrist isn't at the same level as his arm. But honestly, when you go hook arm on arm with Taron Broad, it feels not only horrendous, it just feels like LA. It makes me panic. I get in there, I've been in the hook with him, and I don't know if I can get out. I don't know if I can survive it. So Taron Broad, for me, huge potential. He's quite passionate about the sport. He follows this sport entirely. He knows what's going on. He keeps up to the trends, and I think this man trains very, very hard. So Taron Broad, for me, takes number 7. All right, number 8, we're heading back over to West Australia, and this time we have a gentleman named Bobby Wrigley. Bobby Wrigley naturally walks around at, I believe, about 85 kilos, can get down to under 80 if necessary. He didn't have the Nationals performance that he wanted last year. I think he finished 4th in Nationals, where he was actually the favourite going into it. But Bobby Wrigley has wins over people like Phil Rasmussen. In a super match, Bobby has beaten Phil Rasmussen once before. But Bobby Wrigley is yet to get enough runs on the board among the other guys on the list so far. But he is one of those guys with an amazing wrist as well. Great knuckles up pressure, similar to that of Phil Rasmussen. Knuckles up pressure, good fingers at the top. Has an outstanding platform to launch an attack from, and is quite an offensive-based arm wrestler. Bobby Wrigley, lots of potential there, and I know he's hungry, so he is keen to climb this ladder for sure. I've heard him say words out of his mouth before that he is not at all scared of Jordan Davis. They've never gripped, but Bobby Wrigley is ambitious, and look, to be honest, he could probably have a crack at Jordan anytime he wants if he was to come over here to Brisbane, but Bobby Wrigley, for the moment, sits at number 8. All right, number 9. We're back into Victoria, and I am giving this to one of the truly lightweights now. We're down to a gentleman that can get down to 70 kilos. His name is Tim Gatsby. Now, Tim Gatsby, again, multiple national title winner. Tim Gatsby, truly an inside puller. He is fantastic at forcing the hook just below the losing position. He will scoop a top roller in and suck them in. He'll even lose his wrist and still be able to jam and eventually force that press or return it to a hook. Tim Gatsby, very consistent in his standard across the years, and undoubtedly deserves his spot at number 9 in this rankings list. All right, number 10 to round out the list, I'm going to give it to Brisbane's Mickey Lonchatovic. Mickey, I hope I said that name right. I gave it my best shot, brother. I never get it right. But anyway, Mickey Lonchatovic, he's coming in at number 10. We call him the hand cannon up here. He was one of those guys who turned up to the sport gifted in having all of the right strengths in the right areas. He's a mechanic by trade, and the strengths that he's developed through his work really comes onto the table. Very intuitive puller, can do it all. He can top roll, he can hook, he can defend, he can attack. Very explosive, and what I like about this man most of all is his ability to fire up. Out of everyone in this list, Mickey Lonchatovic really fires up, and he often intimidates his opponents. Has some great wins over people like Zurab from New Zealand. He's had so many wars with Tim Gatsby for the national title, and Mickey Lonchatovic, yeah, he's a dangerous man. Any day of the week, he's a dangerous man to any of the people on this list. All right, guys, that rounds out the top 10. Now, I, of course, do have a couple of honourable mentions. As per the overalls list, I couldn't go past a few names. The first name that I wanted to put out there was young Nicholas Burnett. Nicholas Burnett, I believe, has just turned 17 years old. He's the younger brother of Sam Burnett, who is ranked number 6. But let me tell you about Nicholas Burnett. Nicholas Burnett is light. I think he's only 68 kilos. But this man, well, this young man, he is incredibly dangerous. The upside potential of this man is huge. He is one of the most efficient attacking arm wrestlers I've ever seen. His instincts are so well dialed in to protect his pronation, to protect his back pressure, and his side pressure hit once he has secured his hand position is phenomenal. He's actually beaten people like Tim Gatsby, who makes the top 10 list. He's almost beaten his brother a couple of times as well. And honestly, if you look at the names on the list, I can guarantee you they'd all be nervous if they faced a Nicholas Burnett hit off the go. So Nicholas Burnett gets an honourable mention. And one other one I have to mention, there's whispers that this man is making a return. He's a legend of the arm wrestling world here in Australia. And undoubtedly, if you've ever touched this man's hand, you know why we call him Slamming Sam Safuri. Sam Safuri, one of the old guards of Australian arm wrestling, probably the most genetically gifted under 85 kilo guy I've ever met. Without doing any training whatsoever, this gentleman has so much side pressure, so much hand and wrist integrity, it's amazing. I can guarantee you that if this man makes a return, and it seems like he is, he's starting to show up to training every couple of weeks now on the Gold Coast. If this man makes a return to competitive arm wrestling, he will probably slot back in immediately at about number 6 on this list. He is that good, and he has the potential to challenge all the way to the top. I don't know if he can take Jordan Davis, but he can. I think he could take almost anyone else on this list on his day. Sam Safuri, one of the old guards of Australian arm wrestling, legend of the sport, and well known overseas for his performance when he went to the Worlds, I think in 2008 or something like that. Before the federation was even started, Sam Safuri went to Worlds in Italy and did tremendously well over there, turned heads everywhere. And people still to this day ask me, who's that guy with the massive beard that did amazing over at Worlds? He'd never seen an arm wrestling table before, went over there and finished very deep in the tournament and scared the pants off a couple of the favourites in the opening round. All right, guys, that is the under 85 kilos rankings list. These are the names you should know about and look out for. Make sure you go and follow them all on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever they may be, because they are all killer arm wrestlers and they're making waves. And honestly, any one of these guys on an international scene would do well. When I say they'd do well, if you took these 10 guys and put them in North America, Among their weight categories, they would all be in the conversation on any single one of the guys over there. Same if all these 10 guys went to Zloty, they would all go reasonably well. Jordan Davis, as we know, almost podiumed. The rest, I would say, they're taking a couple of wins, a couple of losses. But they're outstanding arm wrestlers, and you should all be noticing them because they are on the way up, and Australian arm wrestling as an entirety is on the way up. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Yes, that's a man!